Hello and welcome to the Punter, the show that likes to keep you up to date with all the latest market moves and all the latest odds when it comes to the football, the cricket, the snooker and beyond. Plenty to take a look at tonight as we take a look forward to primarily the Football Champions League and of course Europa League as well. We'll be delving into Test cricket as England take on India in the third Test. Plus we'll have the latest odds when it comes to the UK Snooker Championship and one or two novelty markets as well. I'm pleased to say that Gordon Watson is with me in the studio. Flash, how's your punting weekend gone?
Saturday couldn't have been any worse, really. I mean, I think we had a completely disastrous time. Loads of odds on shots got beat, and Sunday there wasn't much going on.
What's the Champions League been like for you so far this season?
Apart from Man City really underperforming, it's been pretty much as you'd have thought. And obviously Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund, it all surrounds that group really.
Group stages have been better, haven't they, so far this season? Because over the last few years, people have said, well, it's pointless having group stages. You may as well just go straight to the knockout stage. But with the likes of Manchester City struggling and Chelsea struggling as well over the course of the last few match days, it's made it much more interesting for pundits and indeed punters.
Yeah, you look, and it comes from Germany really. I mean, you look, you've got Borussia Dortmund, you've got Schalke, you've got Bayern Munich, and Borussia Dortmund and Schalke, they had question marks before they come in. And arguably, they've been two of the best sides throughout.
And of course, there's a big game tonight as well in the Premier League. Let's not forget about that. It is Newcastle against Wigan. Newcastle have struggled recently. What's your view on this one, Flash?
I think Newcastle are heading downwards, to be honest. I like Wigan tonight, or I definitely don't like Newcastle, so it'd be a lay of Newcastle. But I think that Newcastle and Sunderland have got bad days ahead.
Let's get to the Bet Butler, shall we? Because Nigel Seeley is joining us to get the latest prices when it comes to the match between Newcastle and Wigan tonight. Butler?
Yeah, I mean, Newcastle have been very heavily opposed in the last couple of weeks. Everybody wants to back them to go down. No one totally friendless for this match tonight. They're even money. You can get Newcastle. Wigan 3-1 to pull off a shock, and the draw is 23-10. It's all about the draw for me. I think 0-0 or a 1-1 draw could be a decent value bet. Even money Newcastle. Newcastle have a fantastic record in this fixture. Wigan haven't beaten Newcastle at St James's Park, but this is a Wigan side that are in absolutely terrible form. It's all about the draw. 23-10 the draw, and maybe a low-scoring draw. So I'll agree with Flash here. I'll be a massive layer of Newcastle, and I don't think I could back Wigan to win it, but certainly the draw.
Newcastle maybe to drop points once again in the Premier League against Wigan. That match, of course, is just underway. When it comes to the midweek action, first of all, we're going to talk about Olympiacos against Arsenal. Flash, Arsenal have qualified from a punting point of view. They've taken a fringe first-team squad to the Greek capital. Does that mean that we should be lumping on Olympiacos here?
No, I don't think that Olympiacos have got many goals in them, so I'd be saying it's probably going to be a draw. I mean, Arsenal, I think that it's good that they're able to try out some of the young kids, give them a bit more experience, so in years to come, they are already there. A little bit like Manchester United, so they don't get to further on down in their careers, and they've not even tasted it.
Let's get the latest prices, shall we? Butler?
Yeah, let me tell you something. We're 24 hours away from the kick-off of this game tomorrow. Not exactly the biggest game of the season. Arsenal already through. Olympiacos with very little to play for, virtually nothing to play for whatsoever, apart from a bit of pride. But Olympiacos have been heavily supported all day today. This price was 15-8 this morning. Now into 13-8. They might sound a lot of big move, but that's a lot of money to move a price like this in the Champions League. Arsenal out to 7-4. Arsenal are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We've heard it's a fringe side going there. Defensively, they're not bad, but that's a bad thing. This is a team that lost 2-0 at home against Swansea. Olympiacos, all Greek sides at home, are very formidable. The draw, a 12-5 shot. But at the moment, a big gamble is developing on Olympiacos. And this 13-8 is going to get shorter and shorter come kick-off time. And then, would you back Arsenal in their current form? The pressure is on Wenger. The team lineups are going to be crucial. But Olympiacos certainly been where the money is.
Olympiacos have been backed throughout the day. What about the other Tuesday game involving the Premier League side? Manchester City take on Dortmund. City can qualify for the Europa League if results go their way elsewhere. They can't qualify for the knockout stages of the Champions League. How do you view this one, Flash?
Man City were my favourites out of the English sides with the personnel they've got. They're thoroughly underachieved throughout. And I don't know if it's complacency, I don't know if they're not fit, or they've got one eye on obviously the Premiership. For me, I think that going away to Dortmund and getting anything will be a massive result. So I've got to stay with the home side, Dortmund. And just compound the misery for Man City.
And I presume, Butler, that Dortmund are the favourites.
They certainly are. They've been the team that everybody wants to back. They're the most backed team in recent weeks to win the Champions League, let alone to win the group. They're 11 to 10. They only need a point to top this group and be in a better position than Real Madrid. The draw, 14 to 5. City are 13 to 5. You would never expected to see this kind of price on Manchester City going a game. But do they really want to be playing the Europa League? I don't think they fancy it. I think you'll find their City side is going to be quite a weak side. We've heard today David Silva is out for a couple of months. The key for me is Man City play Manchester United at the weekend in the Premier League. It's all about defending their title now. Europa League, don't really care about that. Dortmund, 11 to 10. Needing that point, I think they'll get the win. I think 11 to 10 is a decent bet.
Also in the section, it's Real Madrid against Ajax. City will be hoping that Real Madrid will do them a favour if they want to get through to the Europa League, and there's a question mark whether Roberto Mancini actually wants that. But in terms of the Real Madrid-Ajax game, Flash, how do you see it?
I just see Real Madrid winning. I think that Ajax will probably get through to the Europa League by default. They've got a good young side, Ajax, so I think the Europa League will be more beneficial to them than it will be to the boys from the Etihad.
Now, what do you make about Real Madrid in terms of the outright market? We'll go on and look at the odds shortly, but Real Madrid have been almost left alone by punters, haven't they?
Yeah, because it's one of them under Mourinho. You write them off at your peril, but they are very around the Ronaldo or the Benzema or the Ozil. There's something not quite right about them, and I think that they're definitely beatable. But on one given night, if the further they go on that one given night, they could beat anybody.
Let's get the prices, the match odds for the Real Madrid-Ajax game. Butler?
Yeah, Madrid have to put on a performance. They have to win. They have to win well if they want to top this league. Real Madrid are 1 to 3 to win the match. I think it's very, very, very short. The draw 19 to 4, and Ajax, they're not going to win it 10 to 1. But Ajax really want to get in the Europa League, unlike Man City, because it's being held in Amsterdam, and it's all about Ajax. I think if Ajax can get into the Europa League, I think they'll win the competition. I think how important. I think they'll take it. So Real Madrid at 1 to 3, they know they've got to win 3, 4, 5 and rely on Dortmund. If the results at Dortmund aren't going their way, then a draw suits both parties here, and I think this could fizzle out to be a draw. And in running, the draw would be a fantastic price and a very, very tempting, almost 5 to 1 the draw. You've got to be on the draw here, because I think if Dortmund go 1 or 2-0 up, the draw suits everybody, and Ajax will really, really want that Europa League position.
Let's move on to Group E, shall we, in the game featuring Chelsea and North Shetland. We know that if Chelsea win, and indeed Shakhtar get the better of Juventus, then Chelsea make it through to the knockout stages. But they've got to beat the Danish champions first of all, Flash.
Yeah, I think they will. I think this is Chelsea's almost giving them a free pass. Forget everything that's going on in the Premier League. They have looked quite defensively sound until they run out of gas on the hour mark at the weekend. But I would still say that elsewhere is going to go against them. Yes, Chelsea will win. Yes, they'll probably put on a good performance and score a few goals. Maybe Torres even get in there. But I think whatever happens in Donetsk will go against Chelsea.
Chelsea, I presume, Nigel, are short enough in the match market.
Ridiculously short there, very, very short down. 1 to 8 to win this game. They were 1 to 3 to win over in Northland. They did it 4-0. They are going to win. It's a question about how many. But could you back them at 1 to 8 on their recent form? This is a side the crowd are turning against Rafa Benitez, but I think they've got enough quality. They have to win, and I think they will do it. 1 to 8 Chelsea, 33 to 1 Northland to upset the party, and 10 to 1 the draw. Chelsea will win. Best way to play them is on the Asian handicap, perhaps -1.5 or maybe even 2 goals. But 1 to 8 Chelsea, I want to be backing that.
If we're playing -1.5 on the Asian handicap, then for over and unders, we've got to go over, haven't we? I know it's going to be short.
Oh, it's going to be shorter than that. I mean, yeah, definitely it's going to be over. I'd say a minimum of 3 or 4 goals. So, yeah, over all the way. Let's
take a look at the over and unders market. Nigel?
Yeah, under 2.5 goals, very, very short, 4 to 11. You usually get around about 5 to 6 here. Look at the over 1.5, 1 to 10. Over 1.5, Chelsea have got to put a number on. Over 3.5, 5 to 6. That's usually around about 2 to 5, 7 to 4, maybe 5 to 2. Some cases over 3.5 goals. Everybody's expecting goals, but you could not be backing any of these prices. A 2-0 win for Chelsea is okay for them. So why not have about under 2.5 goals there at 2 to 1? Doesn't matter as long as results over there don't go the way they're expecting, and they can just win the game. 2-0 will be enough. I think under 2.5 goals at 2 to 1 is going to be a little bit of value.
What about first goal scorer? Flash, who would be back to get the first goal? I'm presuming we're talking about Chelsea players here.
Yeah, I'd go with Torres. I'd definitely go with Torres. I thought his movement was very good at the weekend. It just needs a little bit more luck, a little bit more composure, just a little bit more confidence. I'm going to stick by him. He's had too many knockers.
Too many knockers, Fernando Torres. Surely we can't back him at a short price, or can we, Butler?
Absolutely no way you can back it up. Look at the prices. 3-1 to be the first goal scorer. Flash, come on. You know, his movement might look good, but my movement looks good. But I can't score the goals. Let me tell you something here. You're getting 4-6 him to score at any time. It's a man who hasn't scored in 12 hours of football. There's no way it's going to be Torres at the Valley. 3-1. Mata, the man always scores the goals. 4-1 at the weekend. So 4-1 this match. 8-1 at the weekend. Double the price. Hazard 5-1. It's got to be about the centre halves. And I think if you see the name John Terry or Frank Lampard on the team sheet, which potentially might happen, he's talking about bringing them back. I think they could be a decent bet. I think a big centre half will come up and score, maybe David Luiz. But Flores, 3-1 to score the first goal. Are we having a laugh?
Torres, who's struggled to a certain extent this season, he's still Chelsea's top goal scorer, I think, this campaign, isn't he? Certainly when it comes to all competitions.
I'm not too sure about that, but I mean, I think the Butler hits on a really good point. An Ivanovic, a Terry, a Louise, a Cahill. I mean, normally they're 25-1. They'll probably be around the 10s tomorrow. So I'm just thinking and hoping, really. I'm from the heart rather than the head. Fernando Torres scores.
Flash, thanks for now. Butler, thanks for now as well. Of course, that particular section and Chelsea's future in the Champions League this season all depends on what Shakhtar do against Juventus. We'll preview that match next. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Punter as we delve into all the European football coming your way this midweek. Next up, let's take a look at the Shakhtar-Juventus game. This is key, of course, to Chelsea's fortunes. And from a Chelsea point of view, Flash, we really need Shakhtar to beat Juventus. Is it going to happen, though?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Shakhtar, they're already through. They've done enough. Adriano, as we know, he's not going to play. So Juventus, if they needed a draw, which obviously they do, then you'd have them. I mean, I can just see Juventus going further in this competition than the likes of Shakhtar. So I think that everything could go against Chelsea here.
Butler, let's get the latest prices on this one. I presume Shakhtar are favourites. They certainly would have been if it was a live game in terms of Shakhtar needing a positive result. Are the odds slightly skewed because of the group situation, though?
Well, you presume massively wrong, Mr. Roebuck. The draw is odds on. 19-20 the draw. When was the last time you saw a game in the Champions League or any league to bet, apart from Italian football with 3 games to go, where a draw has been odds on? It's happening here, 19-20. Now, let me tell you something. This Shakhtar Donetsk side, regardless of they win every game they play at home. We know Juventus are the draw specialists. But if you think that these two teams are going to contrive and make it a draw, I'm not believing that conspiracy theory whatsoever. I think 19-20 the draw is ridiculously short, and the bookies know it's short because you will back it, because you think they're both going to draw and they both get through. I don't think that's going to be the case. You know, I'm not so sure. Would you rather Juventus go through or Chelsea? Who would you play on current form at the moment? Chelsea are arguably the weaker side than Juventus, in my opinion. So I'm not so sure whether this is a great thing at all. We all know why the draw is short. We all know the conspiracy rumours out there. But 19-20 about a football match being a draw, odds on, certainly not for me. 5-2 Shakhtar certainly ticks my box. 17-5 Juve to win the game. Either one of them to win the game, you're getting odds against the winner. Odds on the draw, not for me.
No, not for me either. And I mean, this isn't a Serie B game in May, is it? This is a Champions League group fixture, Flash.
Yeah, but they both know that a draw suits both parties. So they just both defend deep, play, and just cancel each other out.
Would you back the draw at odds on?
No, you wouldn't back the draw, but it is the most likely result, and that is why it is. They're not going to offer a no, because they know that they could have a carve-up. They've got the chance to knock out the champions of Europe. Chelsea will go by the wayside if they have a carve-up, and I think that it will definitely be either Juventus or the draw.
No chance of a carve-up at Parkhead. It's Celtic versus SPARTAK Moscow. Celtic having performed fantastically, Flash, this season. Surely they're not going to fall at the final hurdle, are they?
Well, I think they could do. I really do. I think they could overcommit. And the big strength in Spartak Moscow is that they like to hit you on the break. They've got good pace in wide areas. They've got good goal scorers. And I think the longer the game goes, so it might just get a bit too desperate and Spartak could hit them. I think the value will be with Spartak as well.
How do we price it up, Butler?
Well, the bookies are pricing up very, very short Celtic, 8 to 15. All the value lines with SPARTAK Moscow. We know they're out of the Champions League, but they've got a chance of playing the Europa League. Very important for these sides. 16 to 5 to draw. The thing is here with Celtic, it all happens what is going on at the Nou Camp. In running, there's going to be bets here that you won't believe, because if Barcelona go 2 or 3-0 up in the game we're going to come up here, it's really pretty irrelevant what goes on here. A draw will suit them. They may be able to lose 1-0 and still go through on goal difference. So it's very important what's going on at the Nou Camp. So for running punters, you've got to have one eye on what's going on here to find out what's going on in this game. But Celtic have to win from the off. It's going to be all about Celtic. The passion, the atmosphere is going to be incredible there. But how many times we've seen Celtic go into games where they must win and have come across a banana skin? 5 to 1 SPARTAK Moscow is far, far too big. 8 to 15 Celtic, too short in my opinion. A draw 16 to 5. There is no value in here, but in running tomorrow there could be some fantastic value in both these games.
Butler, what about overs and unders? Because if you've been backing Celtic in those games against Barcelona, or at least the one away from home, then you'd be very excited when it comes to unders. We know that Celtic try and shut up shop. This is going to be different, though. How do the market makers price it up?
Again, it all depends what goes on in the Nou Camp. So you've got to keep one eye on there to find out how the strategy of Celtic go. And if Benfica go 2-0 down, then Celtic could play out for a draw here. Under 2.5 goals is 11 to 10, which surprises me really, because I don't think this gun-ho approach is going to suit them. I don't think their tactics could change in running throughout this whole game. Over 2.5 goals is 4 to 6. I personally think it should be the other way around. I think if you need a point, knowing that one team's going to Nou Camp, you'd be quite defensive and settle for a point and hope Barcelona do the business. So under 2.5 goals, I think, should be the favourite for this game rather than the underdog. There's a little bit of value in there, but we talk about a lot of games in this Champions League tomorrow night where they're dead rubbers. This certainly isn't one, and nor is what's going to go on at the Nou Camp as well. So it's a very interesting game, but in running's where it's all about.
Flash, maybe unders?
Oh, I've gone unders. I think that if Celtic go 1-0 up, the worst case scenario will be 1-1 or 2-0 to Celtic. Once they get their noses in front, then that will be it. There won't be any chances of leaving your back door open. So there'll be 9, 10 men behind the ball. Definitely unders for me.
What about first goal scorer for you, Flash? Because, I mean, Gary Hooper's not been as prolific as he has been in previous campaigns. There's a lot of speculation that he might move south of the border. He's in the shop window once again with the January transfer window coming up. Can we see him getting on the score sheet?
Yeah, you can. Or Gary Hooper, and you got Wanyama. I mean, they've got quite a few boys that can score from different areas now. You've obviously got Chrissy Commons. We've got Giorgio Samaras. I'll be reluctant, but maybe I'd go for Wanyama from set pieces, or maybe a third-man run.
Butler, what about the prices for first goal scorer?
Yeah, Hooper is the favourite. Very short though, 4 to 1 to do it. It's Georgie Samaras, a 5 to 1 who scored in this fixture, the corresponding fixture earlier in the season. Tom, what 11 to 2 there. Miku's the favourite there, 11 to 2 for the Russians. But I think no goal scorer is a big price here. I mean, it's probably around about 10 or maybe even 12 to 1 you can get for no goal scorer. But I think if goals go in elsewhere, this could fizzle out to a 0-0, as we've seen at Celtic home matches before when they played Benfica. So I think no goal scorer could be a bit of value. I don't believe that Celtic's tactics will be go out and get the 2-3-0. It's see what's going on elsewhere, and then we'll change our game plan as and when we have to. And I think if Barcelona go into an early lead, which I think they will, and we'll come on to that in a minute, I think no goal scorer represents tremendous value.
Yeah, we'll come to it right now. In fact, Barcelona versus Benfica, the Celtic match is framed around it as well. How do you see the Barca game?
Barcelona cruising, to be fair. I fancy they'll play a weakened squad. Some of the boys will be like itching to get out there and prove that they should be in the Barcelona side, so that's not going to be much of a weakness. And I see Barcelona cruising. This
is price of the week, isn't it? Butler, Barcelona?
I couldn't believe the price. I thought the producer made a mistake when I saw this. 8 to 15 Barcelona. I mean, you're talking about this. They're rated the same chance as Celtic are to beat SPARTAK Moscow against Benfica. OK, we know they're going to rest some players. They're also not. They're going to have 6 or 7 key players as well. So it won't be a whole nucleus of a reserve side. Even if it was their reserve side, I'd still fancy them to beat Benfica at 9 to 2. The draw is a 7 to 2 shot. Benfica have to go and get something from the game, which means Barcelona will carve them up. You would never see prices like this on Barcelona. 8 to 15 is too big. Do you think the conspiracy theory that Benfica might get something from the game, or do you believe in common sense? I believe in common sense, and prices are wrong. 8 to 15 is wrong. If this was a game that meant everything on normal group stage in Group 2, Barcelona would be 1 to 6 to win this match. Is the difference between a game of the last 8 to 15 and 1 to 6? It's too big. 8 to 15 Barcelona, and maybe even Barcelona half-time, Barcelona even full-time, and around about the even money mark. It's far too big. Barcelona reserves against Benfica, or even 6 of their reserves will be too strong. 8 to 15, wrong price.
Massive price in 8 to 15 Barcelona. I mean, people talk about, you know, they don't want to back odds on, but surely this is one where you can get involved.
Yeah, and again, in running, it might be tight for the first 20, 25 minutes, half an hour, and they might even drift to maybe 4 to 6. But yeah, I think Barcelona will win the game, so it's just picking your spot.
Manchester United versus Cluj, we're going to take a look at next. Manchester United, of course, Flash, have qualified for the knockout stages. Cluj can make it through. Galatasaray will be looking at this game as well, obviously. We've seen United struggle to a certain extent. They've conceded the first goal in, I don't know, was it 14 games so far this season. Can we see Cluj winning at Old Trafford? How do you see it?
Again, I think this is going to be down to looking at the team sheets. Because, again, Man United got Man City at the weekend. So they know that they don't have to put anybody out that's maybe carrying a little niggle. I think that the value will be in the draw or just lay Man United because they don't need it.
And of course, Cluj will be looking at the other game as well in the section, Galatasaray against Sporting Prague. Let's get to the prices, shall we? Butler, how do you see it?
Yeah, Manchester United already qualified, and that's why they're 4 to 6 to beat Cluj. Cluj give them some problems over there in the corresponding fixture. They went 1-0 up. Man United come back and showed their quality. Cluj are 5 to 1 to win this game. I want a little bit bigger than that, but I agree with Flash. Laying Manchester United could be the way to go. I don't think you'll see any of the players who start the weekend or any of the players who are going to start against Manchester City in this lineup. I think it'll be 11 complete and utter reserves, kids, everyone you expect to be on the side, and you know it'll be a totally different side you ever expect. And the draw at 16 to 5 could represent some value. I think, again, a match to watch is the Galatasaray game. See how that's going, and Cluj could be some value in running if they get a little bit too big. I think Manchester United at 4 to 6. It might appear on first glance good value, but it certainly isn't. Manchester United, look at their fixtures against Manchester City at the weekend. That is the key for me, and that's why they're a fantastic lay.
And as we wrap up the Champions League, let's talk about the outrights. Obviously, Barcelona are favourites to win the Champions League for 12-13, but you've got your own opinion on maybe 1 or 2 value bets, Flash.
Yeah, the two that have impressed me in individual situations that I think on one given night they could win would be Borussia Dortmund and Juventus. Juventus very more attacking than the normal Italian style, and the pace and the euphemism of Borussia Dortmund. I think they're both great value. And
of course, Juventus will get a lot shorter should they qualify because there's still that slight question mark that they might not make it.
Yeah, I think they're around 20 to 1 now. I expect them if they do qualify. And again, the draw that we see in maybe 10, 15 days' time would be, I reckon, about 10, 12 to 1.
Let's get the latest prices as it stands at the moment. Butler.
Yeah, Barcelona top of the market at 9 to 4. Real Madrid, who are a massive gap behind them in the La Liga, 7 to 2. I think they'll be a little bit too short, Real Madrid, but we know it's going to be Mourinho's last season. And 7 to 2, does he really want to go out there and win it at Wembley? Bayern Munich 8 to 1, always there or thereabouts in Champions League. Flashy side, Juventus there at 20 to 1. But for me, I like Dortmund. I think they were 33 to 1 outsiders, now into 7.5 to 1, especially if they top that group. A fantastic position to be in. And I would rule out Shakhtar Donetsk as well, because at home they could be anybody, and they're around about 25 to 1. Man United, the best of the English hopes at 17 to 2, but Barcelona hit the market at 9 to 4, and Real Madrid pretty friendless at 7 to 2. But can Mourinho win it for Real Madrid finally?
One team that we haven't mentioned, just very briefly, Paris Saint-Germain. No joy?
Not for me. No, I think that they're probably 2-3 years away.
2-3 years away, potentially, Paris Saint-Germain to win the Champions League. We like Juventus, watch out for Barcelona, obviously, as well. Let's move it on after the break to the Europa League. We'll be previewing all of the English sides in action. Welcome back to the Punter as we endeavour to point you in the right direction when it comes to the best bets this midweek. Next up, the Europa League. Plenty of English teams involved, of course, and they've all got chances of making it through to the knockout stage. Newcastle are already through. We're going to start our roundup, though, Flash. When it comes to Liverpool, who take on Udinese in northeastern Italy, they need a win to make sure that they qualify for the knockout stages. A draw could be enough, a defeat could be enough, but will they win? Are they good value to beat the Italian side?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say Liverpool are good value to win home or away at the moment, and especially when you think to yourselves, a draw might be good enough. That might make sure that they've not got enough goals to say, yes, they're going to win. So for me, I would definitely want to lay Liverpool, and the draw would be the best I expect from them.
Let's get to the prices, shall we? The Bet Butler is with us. How do we price it up? Udinese versus Liverpool.
Well, we've seen some crazy prices in the Champions League, as we went on to before, about teams needing to win. The bookies' price set them up very short. And this is probably the craziest price I've seen in the midweek action this week. Even money Liverpool. Now, let me tell you this. Liverpool, away at home, even money against anybody, you are off your head if you're backing them. Though we don't know the team they're going to do. If Suarez doesn't play, that'll go out to 6-4. There's no doubt about it. He's key to that whole team. They may have to win, but do they really want to be in the Europa League? That's the question about a lot of these teams. They just don't really care about it. And I don't think in the list of Liverpool's agendas, the Europa League is that important. 13-5 the draw. Now, Udinese languishing at the foot of the table, not doing very well. But they beat Liverpool 3-2 at Anfield. This is a good quality Italian side. They'll be a half-empty stadium, but 3-1 Udinese. Tremendous value. Even money Liverpool. That's a gift from the gods if you're a bookmaker. We know Liverpool get backed in everything they do. We know they always come for the money for them. They managed to beat Southampton 1-0 at the weekend, and they're even money to go away and win in Italy. Crazy, crazy prices.
Looks like we're laying Liverpool then.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, even money, I can't even believe. I think it was a misprint. There must have been a typo. I mean, yeah, you've got to. It's a hard place to go, Italy, at any stage. But when you haven't got goals in your side, you've got no natural leader. I don't see where they're going to get the win.
What about Tottenham against Panathinaikos? Tottenham need a point to make sure of qualification to the knockout stages. And we know that AVB likes this competition because he won it with Porto. And Spurs have been playing well. He will want to keep a bit of momentum with his side.
And so he should. I mean, they're probably the form side inside the Premiership at the moment. I like Tottenham. I think they'll win. I think Tottenham would have a real opportunity against whoever comes out of the Champions League. So I think Tottenham could go a long way in this competition.
We like Tottenham in this competition. Butler, do you?
I certainly do, but I don't like the price. 2-7, very, very short. I mean, we know how good Tottenham are playing. I lumped on Tottenham in this corresponding fixture. They drew 1-1, a very painful experience. It was why they went 1-0 up and then in a late equaliser. Very, very poor that night. It was good money for around. I don't think the money's going to come at 2-7, but we know how bad the Greeks are in travelling. Not the greatest of travellers. They never really do it when they go away into London. We've seen a terrible record the Greek claims having Champions League when they come to London, and I think Tottenham will win it. If Moussa Dembele plays, it usually means Tottenham win. Team news is crucial again, but 2-7 Tottenham, far, far, far too short to have a serious bet, but I think they will win. And at around about 20-25-1, I think it could be decent value in this competition as well, as Flash said.
Which for Spurs may be in the outrights. I mean, it's difficult to assess the outrights because we don't know who's going to drop down from the Champions League. Flash. What we do know is that Newcastle will be in the knockout stages of the Europa League. They are through already, as are Bordeaux. The only thing up for grabs in France is who will get top spot. Bordeaux need a point to make sure of being the section winners. How do you see it?
I see Newcastle just laying their guns down, to be honest. I don't think they've got enough personnel. They've picked up so many injuries by playing strong sides in this competition. Yes, it's got them through. Yes, they're second. I see Bordeaux winning it and Newcastle playing a real weak squad. And I think that Bordeaux, whatever price they are, I don't know what price they are, but whatever price they are, they'll be shorter come kick-off.
Let's find out what price they are. Butler.
Yeah, Bordeaux are a bit tempting there, 4-5 to win the game. Obviously, Newcastle won this fixture. Very convincing 3-0 at St James's Park. The thing about Newcastle, they're playing a game tonight, which they're winning 2-0, looking good. But then they go at the weekend to Fulham. We know what a tough place that is. And on Thursday, there will be no players here in this lineup that are going to be playing on that game on Monday. It'll be a very young squad, a very inexperienced team, and a few sort of old veterans at the side. I think Harper might play in goal. I think here Bordeaux will be back when they see the team as long as Flash. But saying that, Bordeaux don't need to win it as well, so they're going to rest some players as well. They've got a big game at the weekend. So I think the draw at 5-2 could be tempting, and maybe a high-scoring draw. You know, I like my 2-2s and my 3-3s, certainly over 2.5 goals in this game. But Bordeaux, 4-5, the best bet, even though it's 7-2, Newcastle ain't coming back with a win from here.
Strange, isn't it? Newcastle are through to the knockout stages. We know that Liverpool and Spurs aren't just yet. But I think you hit the nail on the head before. Because he's been more than distracted with this competition, it's affected Newcastle's league form, hasn't it?
Well, they've lost Caballé, they've lost Benata, so for me, and Colaccini's only just come back, Gutierrez only just come back, he cannot even afford for them to travel, to be fair. They're playing tonight, they're lucky they're playing against 10 men, but I don't see him getting anything in Bordeaux.
And we would generally, boys, and I'll throw this one to the Butler, we put anyone off backing any team in the outrights because we don't know who's going to drop down from the Champions League. Would you say that, Nigel?
Certainly so. I mean, I've said all the way through the competition that I'm a big fan of Ajax in this competition. I think you saw when they played Manchester City how strong they were, how good they were at home, and how good they are away. Good young side. And I think of all the teams coming from the Champions League, they will be the ones that really fancy this. If you've got Chelsea in this competition, I think Chelsea will go market leaders, and they'll be a fantastic lay in my opinion, because they will not be wanting to win the Europa League. I honestly believe that or Man City as well, I don't think they'll fancy it either. I think Ajax go in it, they've got a great chance. And also Tottenham, as we've said there, I don't think they'll fear anybody coming in. But wait and see who does go in, and if the name Ajax appears there, at that sort of 25-1, that'd be what my bet would be.
Yeah, watch out for those prices that will be reframed after the group stages have been completed on Thursday. Let's wind it back to the domestic action, because the big game this weekend on Sundays, the lead leaguers Manchester United taking on Manchester City at the Etihad. 3 points the difference here. Is it a game that Manchester City have got to win, or would they take a draw as it stands at the moment? Because they've not been in fantastic form, have they?
No, they haven't. In fact, City have been very United-like. They've, I think, 15 games in, unbeaten in all 15 games, not really put their best foot forward in one or maybe two of them games. So I would say they're just getting the job done. They're ticking over. The best of City is yet to come. So even if they lost the game and there was 6 points behind United, then I still wouldn't write them off for the title.
Butler, how do we price it up?
Well, I mean, Manchester City have got its fantastic home record, as we all know. Unbeaten in all these games. Unbeaten at home for about 36 games. Unbeaten in the Premier League this season as well, the only unbeaten side. But they're still the second favourites to win the Premier League title. I think the best bet is to lay Manchester United, because I think Manchester United would be happy with a point here, going here, get a point. I don't think they only know one way to play: goals, goals, goals. There will be goals in the game. But I think Man City at 11-8 look a bit of value. You can't really have too much of a bad opinion on a game like this, because how wrong can the bookmakers be? Manchester City, Man United, top and second in the Premier League. Could it be all the way through the season? You can't really look for an edge. And when you're a punter, you've got to look for a little bit of an edge. There's nothing about team news. There's nothing about any injuries. Everyone knows the starting 11 roughly who's going to play. But I personally believe that Manchester United tactics won't be as gung-ho as they have been in previous games. And I think they'll be very happy with a point. And if I was a bookmaker, I'd be certainly looking to lay Manchester United at around about 2-1.
I'm going to say United can't defend at the moment. They can't play for a point, can they?
No, but nor can Man City. I mean, I can't remember the last time Man City had a clean sheet. So again, I would look, maybe I'd lay both Man United and Man City and have the draw running for me, expecting a tight game for at least an hour, maybe even 70 minutes.
Now, Roberto Mancini and Sir Alex Ferguson probably won't feature towards the top end of the next market that we're going to look at, and that's the sack race, although one manager does, and that's Rafa Benitez. He's not the favourite for the sack race, but I mean, it's remarkable that he's amongst the market leaders to lose his job. He's only been in it a week.
Yeah, and yeah, what a bad week it's been, by the way. No goals in the first two games. Yes, he kept clean sheets, but then he goes 1-0 up, and everyone's thinking, OK, he's turned the corner, and they ran out of gas. They had no natural leaders. They looked to the sideline. They got no leadership from there neither, and got beat 3-1. So for me, Chelsea are in complete disarray.
Is he going to go, though? Is he going to be the next manager out?
Well, I don't think he can. I mean, because the whole thing,
you're
living in a house of cards if you appoint a manager, and then, but who knows? Abramovich is someone that doesn't mind loading the gun and pulling the trigger.
Let's get the latest prices on this one. Rafa Benitez, unbelievably, is towards the top end of the market. Butler?
Yeah, he's only been in 3 games in his charge. He was 40-1 on the weekend, straight after the West Ham game, slashed into his current price 9-2. Martin O'Neill has been odds on for this market. The thing is with Martin O'Neill is he will walk. He won't get sacked. He'll just turn around and say, I've had enough. And then whether the question is he's got some big games to come, some sort of they play Chelsea at the weekend. That's a massive game for both teams. I believe that Martin O'Neill will just have enough. So that's why he's the favourite 2-1. Benitez, you've got a guy in Abramovich who can sack him at any time, 9-2 for that reason. Brian McDermott, 7-1, very, very short for me. Nigel Atkins, he was 1-3 in this market some weeks ago. Pardew's doing himself some fantastic favours at 2-0 up. And Arsene Wenger, I'd much rather be backing Arsene Wenger at a decent price than taking 7-1 on McDermott or the 10-1 on Nigel Atkins here. The other one here, the safest manager, the man with the bookies rate, there's no chance going to be, it's not Sir Alex Ferguson, it's Tony Pulis from Stoke, rated 200-1 to be the next manager to lose his job. But Martin O'Neill heads it at 2-1, worthy favourite, and a weekend Chelsea. Massive game for the front two.
That's the sack race as it stands at the moment. That wraps up the football for now. But in our final part, we'll be checking out all the latest snooker prizes when it comes to the UK Championship, the third test between India and England. And oh yes, we'll also be talking royal baby names. Don't go away. Welcome back to The Punter. We've taken a look at the football. Next on the agenda, snooker, cricket, X Factor, Sports Personality of the Year, and indeed Royal Baby Names. That's coming up shortly. Next, though, we are going to be delving into the world of the Green Bays and the UK Snooker Championships. This is the first big tournament, really, of the snooker season, Flash, but we've already had an upset, haven't we?
We certainly have. Judd Trump, 5-2 up last night against Joyce, and he gets done 6-5. A lot of luck Joyce had in that final frame, and it's thrown it wide open now because obviously he is the world #1 Trump, and everyone expected him to go on and win this as well.
Let's get the latest prices, shall we, from the Bet Butler, because there is no Judd Trump, so therefore we've got a new favourite.
Yeah, we certainly have, and it's former world champion Neil Robertson at 9-2 to win the UK Snooker Championship. The thing is here is snooker has become a very, very popular betting event again. It went through the doldrums because it was so one-sided in the years of Hendry, then you had Ronnie O'Sullivan at short prices. Now it's 9-2 to field, and we can't really make a case. It's 12-1 for the first 6, and you can probably go down to 33 and 50 to 1, still make a case for the person in the competition. So really, really wide open event. Neil Robertson 9-2, he's in action tonight. John Higgins at 9-2 as well. Sort of the guy who's always been there, done it, seen it, experience. But he has got, if he gets to a lot latter stages, he'll be the man to be on. But if he's always vulnerable in the early part of the competition. Mark Selby, the man with all the flair, has all the touch, all the game, but hasn't got that temperament as his games get longer and longer. Sean Murphy, 9-1, another previous world champion. Stephen Maguire, been piped around for years and years and years to be the next big thing, never really materials. And the new kid on the block, Stuart Bingham, been around for a little bit of years, but really showing his potential. So Neil Robertson, the favourite at 9-2, but 6 people down to 12. You could bring in another 6, another 12, and we still wouldn't find a winner.
Flash, if you had to, who would you back?
I'd have Higgins to win it, 9-2, and I'd go for Sean Murphy at 9-1. They tell me Sean Murphy's put a lot more practice in over the last sort of 6 months than he has for the last 2 years. So for me, I'd go for Murphy at 9s and Higgins at 9-2.
Yeah, no harm in backing them each way as well as it stands at the moment. That's the UK Snooker Championship. Let's move on to the cricket. The third test between India and England. One apiece so far this series, and England surprised everyone with that victory against India. The spinners coming to the fore. Panasartan's one. I mean, many are suggesting that England have got better spinners at the moment than India, which is incredible to think, but it seemingly is right. 19 wickets, those two, between them in that second test.
Yeah, and one thing I'd always say to you is England do not win test series in India. So India will not be the same side that we beat in like 10 days ago. I expect this to be worst case scenario for India, a draw, although I think India will go after England and be a lot more positive. I think there was a little bit too passive, a little bit more extra bounce, a little bit more extra pace from Panasar. So for me, I would say that India would be the way that I'd go.
Let's check out the prices, shall we? The Butler's got the news for us when it comes to the third test between India and England. Yeah,
Flash is right. India's still holding on to favourites, but very short though, Flash, 11-10. We do know that the Indians always have a great record against England over there. They have a good record against pretty much everyone they play on their home turf. The trouble is here is they're not that great anymore. England have matched them up on the spinning variety, and that's where the game could be won or lost. 7-2, you can get England, and that will be very, very popular. Draw a 9-4 shot. There's never any draws in Test match cricket. There's certainly no draws over in India with the turning conditions that they have there. So the draw is very big at 9-4, but it's not a backable price. If you laid the draw all the way through in Test cricket the last 2 or 3 years, you make money. India, the favourites, 11-2. They expect the bounce back, but England at the moment are the form horse. 7-2. I don't think the gulf is as big as 11-2 and 7-2. Certainly the value is with England, but the stats and the history tell you India. No way a draw for me.
11-10, no way a draw, and those that like to play the draw in running, we see it fluctuate wildly, don't we, over the course of the 5 days?
Yeah, if you're an in-play punter, then you must back England at 7-2. And obviously, if England bat and then have a nice little 50 or 60 partnership, that 7-2 will maybe go down as little as 7-4. But as soon as the wickets tumble, there's always an overreaction in the cricket, and you can basically for 3, 4, 5 days you can play in and out of every market and come up winning whatever happens.
Let's take a look at some of the other markets, shall we? First of all, top England batsman. This is first innings only. Alistair Cook has been fantastic since he's taken over as Test captain. Can we really look elsewhere here, Flash?
Well, we have to look elsewhere because there's other batsmen that are under real pressure. Now, I mean, you write down your Cook, your Peterson, but I want to go back for Jonathan Trott. Jonathan Trott is one that really owes himself, because people are starting to look at him and the likes of Bell to actually maybe come out the side if they don't deliver. So for me, I'm going to go for Jonathan Trott.
Yeah, 1 or 2 under pressure. What about the market? Butler?
Yeah, Jonathan Trott certainly under pressure. A 5-to-1 shot to be the top batsman. Alistair Cook, you would expect him to be under pressure, being the captain in his first sort of his test. But the trouble is he relishes on the pressure, and he's the favourite here at 3-to-1. And that 3-to-1 looks a bit big to me. Peterson coming back to some form, 130 back in the team, trying to impress his teammates. I won't be backing 130 Peterson. I think Cook has led from example in his test series, and I think he'll do the same in a crucial test match. 3-to-1 Cook, not going to make you rich, but it's a sensible bet. Trot a 5-to-1. Bell under a bit of pressure at 6, and Morgan, the steady Eddie. You know he's always going to go in there with a 40, 35. But Cook, and the way he's playing at the moment, 3-to-1, looks a bit of value even at a 3-to-1.
3-to-1. Cook to be the top England batsman, top run scorer. First innings only, of course, when it comes to Test cricket. Same rules apply when it comes to top bowler as well. And surely we've got to look at the spinners once more. Panesar and Swan, they are better than their Indian counterparts. So when it comes to top England bowler, or who's going to take the most Indian wickets from an England point of view, it's got to be one of those two, hasn't it, Flash?
It has, but there is a little bit of science. I'll just quickly run through it. The average speed was about 52, 53 mile an hour for the spinners from both England and India in the second test. Monty Panesar was about 57 to 58, which is a good 4 mile an hour quicker. The Indians would have picked up on that, and they would have asked their spinners to maybe throw it through. They had the perfect conditions. I don't think he's going to get them again. You can't go against. So basically it's a split market, Panesar or Swan, and I suppose you've got to go for Panesar. Let's
see how the market shapes up. Butler?
Swan is still the favourite for the market. He's the man who always delivers for in crucial matches. Panesar done it right in the last test, but can you rely on when the going gets tough? I wouldn't be backing him at 9-4. Swan at 15-8. He is the #1 spinner in the world. He is the #1 spinner in England. And don't get carried away by the Panesar performance. He could quite have an absolute nightmare. And they're looking for some fast bowlers. Finn, who's in the game 5-1, and Anderson 11-2. It's all about the spin for me rather than the fast-paced bowlers. And I think Panesar 9-4 is too short. So that leaves value with the man who's proven, delivered time after time after time after again. Graham Swan, 15-8. Get on.
Swanee, who's having a good test series so far. Not so good that it'll make the shortlist for Sports Personality of the Year. We do know now which personalities have made the shortlist, and of course the voting public will be called upon in the not too distant future to make the decision. There's a whole manner of things you've got to take into consideration when you're punting on this market. Obviously Bradley Wiggins is the favourite, Flash, and has been for quite some time. We've talked about this market for 6 months or so, and I think the general consensus is Wiggins is the man to beat, but the voting process can be strange. The cycling vote could be split. There's a whole manner of things to consider.
Yeah, and you remember after the Olympics, everyone was going like this.
Oh, yeah.
So then you've got to be bringing in Mo. And also everyone loves Jess. So, I mean, for me, they're the three. Bradley Wiggins, Mo Farah, Jess Ennis. It should be a toss of the coin. So I think the value will probably be in Mo Farah.
Mo Farah, the value. Butler, how do you see it? I
think the first thing you do is Sports Personality of the Year, look at previous winners and see anyone without a personality has got a great chance of winning it. And that's how you go. That's what you've got to do. But that's why Bradley Wiggins at 2-5, probably the most person with the most personality, is probably not the most value because he's quite controversial. He says too many things. But everyone you speak to, how many since the Olympics, you can't go on a road without someone riding a bike and thinking he's got a yellow jersey on, he's going to Tour de France. But cycling is a very, very, very popular sport. People are interested in it, and I think that gets the vote. And when they get behind a person in a sort of a sport that is not less like an athlete or a football player or something, the momentum gets with them. We saw Mark Cavendish win this award last year when he did hardly anything compared to what Bradley Wiggins has done. Bradley Wiggins at 2-5, absolutely nailed on for me. It's very, very short, but I think you'll get more people who are cyclists who are involved in Olympics and involved in small sort of momentum going rather than someone in a tennis sort of putting a Twitter campaign or a social media campaign to get behind him. He is short, but these things are always done by money, and the more money goes on, the shorter they go on, and people know who's voting. And I think Wiggins at 2-5. It might look on paper no value, but honestly, I think he's in the bag.
Nigel, Murray's won a Grand Slam.
Yeah, but I think I can't imagine a tennis campaign getting behind. You know, you wouldn't pick up Ace magazine and say, let's make a campaign and get 10,000 people voting for us to win Sports Personality. It rings very much to the people who read the cycling magazines. There's more readers of cycling magazines than there are tennis magazines in the UK at this present time. And that's why I think this. I remember years ago there was a big campaign for an angler called Bob Nudd to win it. And there was a big campaign for Mark Cavendish. But these smaller sports gather huge fans. They're more passionate fans, and they were the kind of fans who will vote. And I think Wiggins at 2-5 will definitely be
Makes a good point about Murray. I mean, it might be a fantastic achievement, but you've got to have the fan base. You've got to have, you
personality.
know, that as well.
And the English are not going to vote for Andrew Murray. There's absolutely no way. He could be whatever price you like. I think that Mo Farah is a real runner in this, although I wouldn't take it away from Bradley Wiggins because what he achieved was unbelievable.
I suppose, certainly, when you consider he won the Tour de France, and indeed he is, I think he's the most decorated Olympian, is he, in British Olympic history?
Oh, yeah, I think he is now. I think he's got 6 or 7 now, hasn't he? And he was clean as well, so that's a bonus.
Yeah, he's certainly got enough. Well, that's Sports Personality of the Year. Let's move it on to the X Factor. I'm going to have to rely upon these two to tell me about this. Flash, first of all, tell me about the runners and riders, if you can.
Well, yeah, there's 3. There's Jermaine Douglas, young lad. Christopher Maloney, who basically got bombed out, didn't get to come to the live finals and that. Then there was 1 wild card for the country to vote in. They chose Christopher Maloney. A lot of people think that he's not even a cruise singer. He's only still on the ferries, on the P&O. And obviously James Arthur, who's outstanding talent. So for me, it's between Jermaine Douglas and James Arthur. Toss of a coin. I think Jermaine might get it.
Nigel, do you fancy a spot on P&O cruise, do you?
Well, no, not for me. I would have gone past it. But let me tell you something about it. If Christopher Maloney wins it, it'll be the biggest travesty in reality TV betting. 7-2. He should really be. If it's down to talent, it should be 720-1. The guy's got a nice nan, and he votes for his nan. He sings for his nan every week. And that's about it. He cannot win this competition. But you know what? On pure talent, he can't. But people want to make a mockery of the X Factor. They want to make Simon Cowell have an absolute heart attack, and they will have a heart attack if he does it. And that is why he's going to get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. If you ask me now who's going to sell the most records, James Arthur, 6-4 to win it. He'd be 1-100 to sell more records than any of these people there. Christopher Maloney, well, if he wins it, his song may be Christmas number 10, but it'll be in bargain buckets by January the 3rd.
Can't argue with that. There we go. That's the X Factor. Finally, we've got to talk royal baby names. What are your thoughts, Flash?
Right, OK. Obviously, I'm just going to go back down the regal sort of family tree.
Okay.
And I think that obviously George and James are ones that haven't come up recently.
Yeah.
Whereas we've had obviously Henry and Harry. Edward is his uncle. So for me, I'd go for George or James. If it's a boy.
Yeah,
Georgie, Jamie, if it's a girl.
Flash, what's your thoughts?
I was going to go George, Zippy and Bungle there anyway, but let me say something. I mean, Francis 9-1. That was Princess Diana's middle name. It was her mother's name. Very, very short favourite, 9-1, but it's 9-1 for a reason. I personally want to go with the street. I want to go with the trendy names. I like Talisa and Rylan at a nice big price, 1,000-1. 1,000-1 Brooklyn. Wallace 100-1. Guinevere 33-1. Francis is the favourite. Diana is a 20-1 shot. Historical names like George around 25-1. But Francis heads the betting, and there is a reason. That was Princess Diana's middle name and also her mother's name. So if it's a girl, I think Francis might feature at some stage.
There is method in the man, isn't it? Because you wonder somehow how on earth the odds compilers price this up. But as the Butler's just pointed out there, Francis is a bit of history. And as you were talking before, you can look at the historical names and think, well, you know, we've got a few Harrys and Georges in the last sort of couple of.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's no, don't have to be a scientist or Einstein because we've had like Henry VIII, George VI. So that means you've had 6 Georges and 8 Henrys, and then we've had Edward VII. So there are certain names for certain boys, and obviously William as well.
Finally, best bet when it comes to the football. Let's reel it back. What's your best bet over the course of the next few days, Flash?
I think we lay Liverpool, even money in Udinese.
Butler, what about you? Best bet over the course of the next few days to wrap it up?
I think Flash has made a good point in laying Liverpool, but I think the price on Barcelona, even though it's very short, I would go Barcelona half-time, Barcelona full-time at around about even money. You'll never see Barcelona at any price like that in any Champions League game at home.
Yeah, Barcelona 8-15 look a knocking back, don't they, Flash?
They certainly do. And I mean, Benfica do struggle to score on the road as well.
Barcelona, we think, could be one of the best bets of the campaign. Well, good luck with all your punts this midweek. From myself, Dan Roebuck, from Flash and from the Butler, it's goodbye.